everyone. Welcome to Rykel at Law. We have with us our one and only Mr. Beat the Case, Able-Don Foote.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. We're going to get into all the important topics when it comes on to Able, including anything that has to do with the law, anything that has to do with investment, anything that has to do with investment, whether in stocks or even art. Remind me to get back to that, Mr. Producer. But we'll start off by asking Able, give us a background of where you're from, and who is Able Done.
Who is Able-Don? That's a very important question. I asked myself the question just this morning while I was driving in traffic. And the only reason I popped in my brain is because somebody asked me to, and I was like, "Oh, that's profound." I would say Able-Don is a highly ambitious individual, highly ambitious, family oriented, driven, and somebody who has a stellar work ethic. That's able done.
Wonderful. You're from Kingston?
No, I'm from Westmoreland originally. My family's from down there. I did prep school in Kingston
Mm-hmm.
when I was young as a kid, and then I went to high school partly in London and partly in the country. And I spent years kind of in the teens
Mm-hmm.
of my years in country as well. Then back to Kingston for law school. But the roots are from Westmoreland.
Nice. I
Yeah.
love I love a country route.
Yeah.
Manchester here.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get into you have done so well for yourself, I can tell you. Fortunately I've seen you before you became the Mr. Beecher case. And you had your own practice. And I can for one say that you developed into such a successful attorney.
Thank
And
you.
it's quite inspiring for not only me, but so many other attorneys
Thank you.
and inspiring ones.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, one of the questions I have for you is who influenced, do you have any role models that influenced your decision to become an attorney or any experience that influenced it?
Yeah. I kind of grew up around it, so
Mm-hmm.
certainly that played some role.
Right.
I always heard the talks in my home. Uncles, aunts, dad. Um, it's I grew up around it, so I guess subconsciously in the back of my mind,
Mm.
that's something I always wanted to do. Law,
Yeah.
you know, so it was always in my subconscious, and that's how it happened, But even though I wanted to be a lawyer, I understood the importance of business as well.
Right.
I always had a passion for business, and as a kid growing up, I always remembered I just loved the idea of the stock market, even though I didn't know much about it then. So it's not coincidental that, you know,
The
those are my two loves, so to speak,
mm,
the law and
investment.
investments.
Okay. So let's talk about as early as law school. When you're in law school, what was that experience like for you? Because I have a fan base of persons who are currently in law school, and so I know that's one of the questions they wanted me to
What
ask.
was law school like?
What was the experience like then?
Fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was fun.
What was the fondest memory? Mock trials?
Um,
Uh,
so truth be told,
mhm.
I'm very candid and transparent. Um, I wasn't the most paragon student in school, so I had a lot of fun whilst in school. And the polar shift happened in my head the moment I received my certificate of legal education.
Right.
I never forget when King's Counsel, it would have been Jacket and Savanton at the time, handed me the CLE and said, "Good luck." And I look out at my colleagues
Wow.
and said to myself, your only role is to try to distinguish yourself in the shortest possible time. Because the competition, there was 200 plus lawyers at the time, So it's not like back in the day of previous generations where it was only 30 lawyers to a
Right.
class. It's like 10 times that amount now. So I said to myself, I need to make a name for myself in the shortest possible time and distinguish myself because there's no way to stand out by fitting in.
Right.
And you're gonna stand out by being bold and having a serious work ethic and being passionate about what you do and loving what you're doing. Those are the recipes I would say for success, in my opinion. It's gonna differ from person to person, but in my opinion, hard work, being driven, having ambition, outworking everybody, being strategic. These are all the things that I would recommend to other persons as well.
In fact, that would have been one of my questions to you because people have seen this successful journey created for yourself, and they're saying, what are some of the principles that Abel has inculcated to be the person he is today?
Right. So nothing is going to be handed out. You have to have a go-getter mentality. Nobody's gonna give you anything. Nothing is owed to you in this life.
Right.
You have to go and get what you want, and you have to be focused. Right. You have to have a serious work ethic. Whether you're doing law, finance, music, you, you know, to relate to music now.
Right.
I remember this Vibes Cartel line that's
Which one?
popping in my head now. I don't remember which song it is, but him say, I'm born to see him father working 7 days a week, so hard work is easy for him. And him say something to the effect that every day him wake up and build 17 song. So it's no coincidence that him still running the road now, even though he's in prison.
Right.
He has so much material and he would have put in so much work
Right.
in the studio. Drake is the same thing. Everybody that has attained this massive level of success, it don't come easy. They outwork everybody else. So while you're sleeping, they're up toiling through the night working. And it's a similar attitude I take to law and my cases. My staff will tell you that 4 o'clock in the morning is like I don't sleep. I'm reading and making points in the WhatsApp group and messaging everybody and telling them what to do and which authority to look through, and it's not going to be easy. You're gonna have to put in the work.
Right. Further to that point.
And I hate people that are lazy.
Yeah.
I don't even want it around me because I don't want to be
energy.
infected that way.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
In fact, further to that
Your
point.
energy, as you say,
has a lot to do.
It's your most, I would describe it as our greatest natural resource, your energy. You have to protect that, right?
Yes.
So if you have a high energy and a high drive and you're hyper focused on what you want and your goals, you can't be around people that going to infect that or slow you down or pull you back. You can't.
Yeah. Powerful.
Yeah.
To add to that,
And when I say slow you down to it, you don't want people around you that gonna affect your energy negatively either.
Right.
Because that will slow you down, You have to make sure that you're always in a good space and in focus.
Right.
And your mind is always in the right place,
Agreed.
That's critical.
But I know that, boy, considering how hard it was to schedule this interview with Able,
but of course I had to come in.
But of course he
No matter
made
what.
the time, and I'm so appreciative of it. But I know that a number of times I've reached out to you. It was trial prepping. It was a meeting or court hearings, and so the fact that you made this time for me, so it's quite special for me. Able, beat the case. Where did that tagline come from? What gave you the idea?
So I can't take credit for it, if I'm gonna be totally candid with you. That name had nothing to do with me, but it just stuck, right?
Right.
I was out with friends socially somewhere, and we were having some drinks, and one of my friends said to me, "Boy, Abel, you just," because he would read the articles and see me winning cases. And this was back in like 2000, I think 16. So he would have seen me winning like a number of cases over and over and over again. And he was like, "Yo, you beat the case, And I was like, "Yo, that sounds catchy." He keeps on saying, "Boy, you beat the case, you beat the case." And I was like, whoa, that sounds pretty catchy. And
Yeah.
then everybody started calling me that, and it just stuck, you know.
Mhm.
So it's not, I can't really take credit for it, you know.
I
It
do
was
too.
just something that just stuck.
Caught on, yeah.
Yeah, just like how they call KD the sheriff. It's not
Yes,
KD
yes.
name himself the sheriff,
People say I just
or
call him out.
Starboy.
I know him more for Starboy,
Yeah,
actually.
man. People call him Starboy
Mhm.
because of him being his natural self, you know?
Yeah,
So just be yourself and things will fall in place.
right. Speaking of Katie, he was one of your mentors, I guess, one
Yeah,
of the attorneys that you grew up on, though.
right.
Someone who's molded you to some extent to who you are today.
Certainly in law,
Yeah.
he
Mhm.
was definitely an instrumental figure in terms of his understanding of human nature and tactics and strategy. He was pretty big on that. I've always loved the law and I always read the law and I always try to be up to date with new authorities and so forth. But strategy is not something you're gonna read in a textbook
Mm.
or in a case.
True.
You get what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
It's experience that give you that, right? So
Mhm.
Katie was big on that and yeah, that's one thing I've adopted.
Right. You guys still keep in
Strategy.
touch?
Yeah, we do. I saw him today at court. So
That's good.
every now and again I would run into him. So he was definitely an instrumental figure. As also Bert,
Mhm. Mhm.
because they're partners.
Right, right, right. KJS.
Right.
So you're now on your own. So you were in the firm life before. I guess for the benefit of some of us, what made you go off on your own uh, and separate yourself from a firm?
Um, I would just simply put it by saying that for every man, there comes a time in life when he has to stand on his own feet, and it was just my time to do that.
Got you.
It might be different for women. It depends. I think it's based on the individual primarily, but I felt as though it was my time to basically stand on my own feet.
I'm
And
following.
yeah.
I'm following. What's your fondest memory of the firm though? Or firm life?
Um
Yeah.
I would say mm,
The only
work
pause I'll get from him.
right, working on a case that is pretty tough and finding a resolution and problem solving. Um yeah, I feel those come to mind. And a lot of that, as I said, is based on strategy,
Right,
you know?
right. You and I'm going to tackle the able who is no, the beat the case. You have represented quite a number of popular or recognized clans.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be able to tell us a few of those persons you represented?
Um,
I guess they've been published, but I mean,
right,
just for the
right.
benefit of some of my viewers.
Um, the very popular one is
Mm,
Rykel. That
right.
was a
That
pretty,
was
pretty
recent,
tough
right?
case. Yeah,
Relatively.
relatively about a year and a half ago
Mm-hmm.
when I got that case. Um, somebody, you know, came to me and expressed a view of the matter to me.
Okay.
And other people would express their views of the matter. And there's nothing like proving people wrong in the sense that, you know, I heard an interview with JT where he said if somebody can't do something, they don't want to put their own insecurity on you and tell you you can't do that. And it's great when you rise to the occasion and resolve something that's challenging. It's so rewarding. As I said, the hotter the battle, the sweeter the victory. So that was a pretty tough case, and a lot of work went into that, and strategy and submissions and fighting it.
Mm,
And thank God it resulted favorably. So that was a pretty notable one. Because that acquittal came at a time when most dancehall artists who were charged with serious offenses were convicted. He's the
Oh.
first in recent
To
times
be
to
exonerated.
get acquitted, right?
Wow.
So that was a really, really good case. And there are a number of other cases too.
Right.
MP George Wright
Right.
in Westmoreland, I represented him. And a number of other matters that come to mind.
Okay. Which we don't have to get into.
Right. Right.
Your speaking of strategy, the strategy business wise,
Right.
publishing your successful matters, is that something that's strategic to, I guess, market yourself as an attorney?
So a lot of the matters are published because reporters are present, right?
Right.
And when I win a case, and they're asking for an interview, I mean that's the polite thing to do, right? I didn't make the rules. It's what all notable lawyers in Jamaica have been doing before me. So it's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
But it has a benefit to it, I would say. Because if you're the greatest at what you do,
Right.
but nobody knows you, it won't augur well for you in terms of business. You know, especially when you're passionate about what you're doing and the service you're giving and you want to give the service. It's good when people know.
I agree. And so you think this is applicable to all businesses?
Yeah. Marketing and sales go hand in hand.
Right.
It's just that's business for you.
Are you before we get into the investments, what would you say? I realize the time we're cutting down. What would you say is what time we plan to wrap up?
We can do 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
I think you went into what would you say was one of the most challenging matters? And
Cases?
yeah, cases.
Boy, a number of them.
I know. But
No
it's a one
problem.
that you said, boy, like even the Rykel ones.
Rykel would be high up on the list.
Okay.
But there are a number of them. Narcotics matters, fraud matters, etc. that
Right.
are complicated. But you know, we work on them, and the outcomes have been favorable.
Wonderful.
Rykel was a tough one
Okay.
because the allegations were that
Right.
were that he was driving a vehicle where this firearm was recovered in. So it was tough on the face of it. And it is how we conducted the defense, you know. We were able to break the entirety of the substratum of the case to the point where the witness's credibility, it was just totally shattered. The evidence could not be accepted, and these were quote unquote technical witnesses
Right.
that we managed to discredit by very good clinical cross-examination and preparation. And we cross-examine in a way where the evidence we elicited out of the witnesses assisted the defense. That's the evidence from the prosecution witnesses.
Right.
So it's all about how you pull that out of the witness,
right.
you know,
Yes,
and how it comes across in a cogent way where it's clear for the judge to understand it.
yes.
So that was a tough case. The defense of Michael Lawrence was a tough case for me.
Oh.
That had a handwriting expert, and he was acquitted on a no case submission of 5 of 6 counts on the indictment, and the 6th count was he won an appeal, so he's totally exonerated.
Brilliant.
You know, he was innocent from day one, and that was quite a fight. It took a lot of energy and preparation and sleepless nights. But as I said, it was a forgery case that had a handwriting expert. But at the end of the day, the evidence came out in a clear way
Mm-hmm.
that showed his innocence, which is what he was maintaining from the outset of the matter.
Brilliant.
So that was another tough case. But there are a series of other cases that I can think of too
Mhm.
that were pretty
That would
tough.
have to be
That
honorable mentions.
right.
Okay, so we're on the area of criminal law. I know you're famously known to practice criminal law. What other areas do you practice?
We do personal injury, conveyancing. Um, we do some family matters as well, divorce, and we do litigation. We do some civil litigation
Okay.
stuff and contractual stuff as well, and a bit of commercial stuff. So it's pretty diverse. It's a mixture, really. But people know me for the advocacy, as you say. Um,
The criminal
because
arena.
the courtroom, I would say, the
Well,
courtroom
yeah.
is, you know,
Mhm.
is is a fun place in
Mhm.
terms of the practice to me.
I agree. Okay.
Yeah, you have some lawyers that have never been to court,
Yeah. That's true.
I actually enjoy the interaction with the judge, your
Yeah,
colleagues,
and
etc.
colleagues
Yeah.
and in the criminal, the jury.
Yeah.
Well, very little interaction, more than a show.
Mm-hmm.
But hey,
Yeah.
let's, because I realize the time. I want to segue into the investment
Right.
section of things. Astronomical Holdings Limited.
Right.
That's your
It's
company.
an investment company.
It's an investment company which
founded
was founded by you. It's known to have invested in Fontana, and it's the second largest shareholder
Right.
in that company, in Fontana, that is.
Right.
And it's been said that the stock's value over 100 million or thereabout. What triggered that move? Or,
Right.
let's break it down. Let's break it down for people. What made you think to do it that way?
So remember I told you, I guess you never see smoke without fire because, as I say, and psychologists will tell you too, um, that your formative years is what really dictate who you are later in life. Because there are certain core things, you know, that you're gonna hark into because it's almost just like it's a part of it. It's in your nature. As I say, I had that push towards law and investments innately, and I was fascinated with the stock market. So then, I've just always been looking at the markets, etc. And I looked at Fontana and I said, "Wow, I'm a big fan of Warren Buffett as well. Been in a like an economic mode and all these principles of value investing and precepts that he follows.
Okay.
It Fontana lines up squarely in that. Why? You want to buy a value stock that has potential to grow, and you want to be buying into a company that don't have any much competition. There's nobody at the size of a Fontana in the Jamaican market to compete with them. You have other pharmacies, but they're just pharmacies. Fontana is a department store, but they have a pharmacy in it. So that model is a American model, which they brought to Jamaica because it's similar to Target. But there's nobody in Jamaica really doing that.
Right.
So they have the market to themselves here, and it's almost like a monopoly because it's not a pharmacy.
Right.
It's more than a pharmacy, even though it's called Fontana Pharmacy. You go in
Right.
there for anything, really, you know. Most people go there, at Christmas time. There,
Yeah, the
sales
decorations
are
is
always there, and the management of the company is clinical. So before you invest in anything, you want to make sure you're dealing with other people. It's great management, and they know what they're doing.
right.
They shop for Christmas 12 months before. It's such a efficient business that they run, and they have this advantage. They have a competitive advantage based on their size and their cash flow, and they really have no competitors really.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it was a brilliant move. I mean, certainly it was just plastered over every newspaper that was the move, and I mean, I remember there were so many reshares that, came on my, I feel like anything that shows up on my page just means it's been shared a lot. So, I mean, clearly that was a move that you made that made sense for you. It's paying off now.
Yeah, it's been a good investment. Even though the times are not the best of economic times because the interest rates are high, this is one particular stock that has done well even during this climate. So you really have to say to yourself, what would happen if we weren't in this kind of recessionary environment? If the stock is doing so well in an environment like this, if we were back in our own 2019 environment with the same numbers, the stock price would probably be double what it is now, even though it has run up so much already,
I follow you.
Yeah.
So for those persons who are interested to invest, what are some of the key principles that they would have to, or tips that you think they need to do in order to make a good investment?
So I would say cash flow
Okay.
is the life of any business. So focus on the business cash flow. You look at the free cash flow, you look at the PE, price to earnings ratio. You look at whether or not you're getting the company to buy at a good valuation. So you're trying to look at something that's undervalued with great management, and that would be a good long-term investment. You always have to think long-term when you're investing.
What's your investment personality?
What do you mean by that?
Well, apparently, when I did my research, there are some classifications of an investment personality, whether it's an individualistic one, meaning that you invest, you have confidence, but it's low risk. So it's basically you're paying attention to your money. You have those persons who are confident, adventurous, they'll just diversify their stocks all over, and it's just high risk. And I mean, what are you, a safe investor, or is it that you'd say you're confident enough to just let you just diversify your portfolio and not necessarily have to watch it. It just does it on its own.
I believe in investing and not gambling.
Okay.
And that's also a Buffett principle, right? So I am not waking up every day and checking Fontana stock price because it's an investment that I made, and I know that the ship is in safe hands and they're managing the company well.
Right.
So even though it is a risk when you're buying stocks, you want to take calculated risks that can allow you to sleep at night.
Right.
And that's one stock that has allowed me to sleep
at night.
You
mentioned to me, and hopefully we'll get a shot of it in the video at some point, that you invest in art.
Right.
What got you into that? I know it's been said that art is a great investment.
Yeah.
Because of the value just increases over time, right?
Yeah.
This piece, are you guessing this in the shot?
No, but I can.
Okay, so we'll guess in the shot.
Yeah, so this is an actual piece that's symbolic to me, and I bought it at a art auction. And it really is representative of overcoming a struggle. So very profound piece by a talented artist.
I get you.
And I bid on it at the auction and won it.
It's quite interesting that you get that. Is it that you interpreted it that way, or is it that they gave you the interpretation?
He gave me an explanation, but I saw it for myself before he explained it, and it represented something meaningful to me at the time,
and
and still,
I see where you're going with it being tied, and then I mean the line in between is almost like bringing yourself into. I mean, hey, I've always been a fan of interpreting art, guys. So this is quite interesting. So how has that investment paid off? Not just this, but art investments.
I don't have as much pieces as I'd want,
Oh, okay.
but it's something that I'm just developing a liking for, and
Okay.
I think it has been doing well so far, you know. But I'm more an equities man more than anything else.
Okay.
So I like investing in companies
Got
in
you.
particular. But art is also a good store of value,
Mhm.
just like good watches as well.
You invest in watches, like.
Watches are a good store of value as well, but
Mhm.
it all depends on which ones you're buying, you know.
Got you.
So yeah.
Alright. Well, it's been quite interesting. Is there anything else that you wanted me to tackle?
The closing questions you normally ask.
Thank you, because I know we have to wrap up. Abel has a meeting, and we've detained him for much longer than we expected to.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, I don't remember it.
No, if you want to go back into time.
Yeah, if you were to go back into time,
Mm-hmm.
what advice would you give yourself, whether to do or to do differently?
If I was supposed to go back in time
Mhm.
and advise myself, I would advise myself not to waste a minute of any day, because I still believe that there is a lot more that I can do, and you have to have an insatiable drive. And I still feel as though I have a lot to do and I'm behind. So
Wow.
I genuinely feel like that.
Mhm. Well, you heard it from him, guys. Able-Don, Mr. Beat the Case, attorney at law. Thank you so much, Abel, for having us in your office.
Anytime.
It's been a pleasure. Sorry for being late, but you know, you know how it goes.
I understand.
If it is that clients want to reach you, how do they find you? Okay.
So the firm is at 22G Oxford Place,
Mhm.
and our number is 906-0892. And you can find me on Instagram. The email address is there too. Ableattorney is ja@gmail.com. And my handle on Instagram is one Able-Don. So I'm easily accessible to my office
Not bad.
if anyone needs to reach me.
All I can tell you is just continue shooting for the stars.
Thank you.
And go at it. I don't know at what point you'll ever be content with the success that's there, but
I'll never be.
I figured. So certainly keep pushing.
Yes, yes. Um, we have to make the most of our productive years. I'm a firm believer in that, because when I'm old, I can't do what I can do. So that's what I'm saying. If I was to advise myself back years ago, I would say not to waste a minute of any day. Life is precious, and you have to be fixed in your purpose. That's my view.
I can just hear my family echoing in my head. Raquel, time wasted cannot be.
Yeah, yeah. And you cannot catch up for lost time either.
Can't. That's it. Thank you guys. See you next time. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this video. Walk good.